Hey there, my name is Shane Craddock, and this is the Inner Edge podcast, where I share a different take on how to lead and live a sustainable, high-performance life. Over the course of different episodes, I'm going to challenge the belief that tension, stress, and struggle are essential to success and creativity. My experience is that there's an easier way, there's a better way, and indeed there's an essential way that we need to explore for the times that we live in. So let's go ahead, let's jump in and explore. Hi there. Today's episode is coming to you from the southeast of Ireland. I'm in my homestead of Kilkenny city, the medieval city, the marble city. It's where I grew up. I'm down visiting my parents this weekend, and I'm just down here having an early morning stroll around Kilkenny. It's quiet, it's early, I'm having a cup of coffee on Sunday morning. It's a beautiful blue sky day. I've just stepped into my car and I'm recording this on my phone, so hopefully you can hear it loud and clear. As is usual with this kind of my podcast that I do every week, I have a list of different things that I'll say, I'll talk about this, talk about that. And very often, either the day before or the day of the recording, I'll just be inspired with something else. And actually, Kilkenny has inspired me to change my episode. So today's episode is about considering the one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful ability that every human on the planet has. And it is that ability to be inventive. And to be inventive comes out of our skill of imagination, that ability to imagine or to reimagine. And I just want to explore that a little bit in the context of you, in terms of your life, your work, maybe your leadership, whatever is important to you, because I think it comes into everything. Because I think it's all too easy as you go through life to, without realizing it, get stale or accept second best or maybe even fourth best without realizing it. And certainly I have done that many times. And so I got myself a nice little flat white here in the Oran Artisan Bakery. Fantastic little bakery. It's actually too good, to be honest with you, because carbs and Shane don't always get on too well together. But the coffee is very, very good. And I was going for a walk here down by the what's called the new Abbey Quarter, and it is the site of the former Smithwick's Brewery. If you're international, you may not know what that is, but Smithwick's is very popular Irish ale, which started in 1710 in the middle of Kilkenny. Franciscan monks in St. Francis Abbey in the middle of Kilkenny started brewing their own ale, and that was the start of what became Smithwick's. Smithwick's was bought by Guinness, which was then bought by Diageo, and I think it was 2014 then unfortunately Diageo decided to close the Smithwick's Brewery, move the production elsewhere. So there still is kind of a tourist element there, and I think there's going to be a brew house for some local beer or local brewery, I think, which is great as a memorial. But anyway, the brewery closed 2014. My dad was different jobs there, ended up being master brewer. He did a great job, loved it. And I think he was sad when he saw it closed, understandably, having spent most of his life working there. But he's very happy and excited with what's happening there now, because the powers that be in Kilkenny have done something very clever. They obviously got together, and I'd love to know who has been the mastermind behind this, but they've reimagined that entire space, which is quite large, and now it's currently underway of being created, kind of a mix of artistic and commercial and retail and open space area for the public. And there's already a beautiful walkway down by the river, and they've kind of really done up the river, and you can see it coming to life, and it's a very clever use and a reimagining of the space. And I have to salute it, even just from what I'm seeing right now. And again, it just inspired me, reminded me of just our own capacity to reimagine a space. So that space could be your relationship, your health, your business, a team, how you see yourself, to reimagine what's possible. I know a lot of people, have spoken to somebody, say, in the last 18 months who successful in their own career and industry, seen as a leader, used to speaking in the media, but actually when we got into it, they felt stuck. And the reason they felt stuck was because they felt that they were old and they were getting stale. And a part of the equation of reigniting them to catalyze them back into what they would say now is being at their best ever, was to allow them permission to say it is possible to reimagine yourself, to reinvent. And that comes out of our ability as humans to imagine and to invent out of the seemingly unknown and impossible into something new. I remember back in I think it was the late 70s when there was a major oil crisis as a kid. I remember my dad having to queue for petrol for hours. I think the whole world was in a major crisis. But still we were able to kind of come out of that. And since then, companies have actually focused on getting clever at how they extract, we'll say, oil, regardless of if you're using fossil fuel. It's the inventiveness to find new ways. And that's why, for example, the US has become a major power on the oil side, because they figured out, I think, a process called fracking, where they can kind of get into oil or gas that's held very intensely in rocks. A different process, but again, the human inventiveness. Or you think about the start of the information technology revolution and the computer chip, which essentially is really created, as I understand it, it's made out of literally sand. But yet so much has been changed in our world because of the incredible inventiveness of the human mind to reshape sand into something that is literally just changing the world as we know it and continues to change it. And who knows what else is coming, because we have things like quantum mechanics, and then there's nanotechnology, and then all the inventiveness happening in the biotech world. And sometimes I think people will think, oh, yeah, well, that's for them, that's the inventor. You may not realize it or maybe even consider it, but I look at everybody and think, well, hang on, what have you got the capacity to reimagine or invent? And maybe you're not like me at the cutting edge of inventing computer chips, fair enough, who is very few. But you have an innate ability right now to reimagine and reinvent yourself, your health, your life, your work, your business. And then my little walk here in Kilkenny this morning, such a stunning morning, it brought me up to Kilkenny Castle. And if I can, I'll put some pictures if you're not familiar with Kilkenny or Ireland listening to this. And I know there are people all over the place in America, Russia, Africa, bizarrely listening to me rattle on and hi. So I'll put up a link maybe in the show notes to where Kilkenny is and some pictures there, because it is beautiful. It's a medieval city. If you ever get a chance, come in to Kilkenny and make sure you get a pint of Smithwick's. The castle is right bang in the middle of Kilkenny, and it is really beautiful. It's well maintained. And as I was walking up there, I just got struck again by the size of the walls, the depth of the walls. Also, how once you get inside the walls of the castle, there is incredible open space, massive open grass area to play, to run. That's what we used to do as kids, and even play football or hurling there. And a lot of people still run there and sit there and enjoy the sunshine, which is brilliant. As the pandemic is opening up, we'll also have things like concerts and things like that there, which is going to be magnificent. But again, Kilkenny Castle has been reimagined. At one time it used to be home to, I think, the Butler family, and then also, they had the walls to protect. But it's now a major tourist attraction. There's artistic and cultural events held in the castle, particularly during Arts Week in August, which is one of the main cultural events in Kilkenny during the year. Here I am doing a little tourist promotion thing for Kilkenny. I should be on a percentage at least. Kilkenny tourist industry, get in touch if you want. We can sponsor the podcast. So again, it's just a little inspiration of like what once had one purpose. Today, it's very different. There's coffee stalls outside. It's just in the middle of a vibrant place. And so again, one location has been reimagined completely, and now it serves a different purpose. It now does different things. And I think there is great inspiration in that you don't have to stay stuck. You don't have to stay doing something. You have this ability to say, well, do you know what? I'm going to make a decision. I am going to reinvent. And maybe just ignore the inner voice that kind of goes, yeah, it's too late. Ah, you're too old. Ah, you tried that before, it didn't work. But what if you just ignore that voice and just took action regardless, and allowed yourself permission to think of reimagining something within your world? To say, well, what if? And what would excite me, or what would be interesting? Maybe you can go to others and get their input, especially if you're in a relationship. So I find a lot of people, kind of a mix at the moment in the world, or in my world anyway, where some people are very pessimistic about the future and some people are very optimistic about the future. Maybe that's the way it always is, I don't know. But the pessimism will come out of the pandemic, and now we're into this European war, Ukraine, Russia, and what else is coming, and major changes with Brexit, and Europe is kind of destabilized, and there's a lot of change going on in the world. And so especially the media can really focus in on the negatives, and people can kind of take that in without realizing that it's almost like taking toxic material into your body, but you're taking it into your mind. And I just find for me, I keep coming back to the same thing, is that whenever the human spirit has encountered major challenges over its history, it's always that spark of creativity, of the inventiveness that's innate in every human. Some use it more than others, but it is there. And that's the bit that I know, that when I go to sleep at night, that's what gives me hope, personally, is that, not just for me, but for the world in general, say, you know what, we have major climate issues changes. I'm not saying we don't take action, because we do need to, absolutely. But it gives me hope that I have a firm faith that the human spirit, the human mind, is going to conquer those kind of challenges with ideas and solutions that we just can't even see yet. But what about you? I firmly believe the same possibility is for you, the people around you who you care about, your family, your kids, your close relations, and your business. So maybe take some time out just to stop and look at the important areas of your life and say, okay, just like the old Smithic site in Kilkenny, it's now becoming what's called the Abbey Quarter. That's a mix of different things and possibilities. It's going to be really, really special when it comes to life properly. What about you? What's your version of that Abbey Quarter? And that's the ball in your court. Thanks for being with me. Bye-bye.